You went off about the January 6th commission. I should have probably just led with this, but I want to play everyone this video of you on the House floor.
I rise in opposition to this resolution to hold Mark Meadows in contempt of Congress because it's being held by nothing but a kangaroo court. Congress's job is to make laws, not enforce them. That's the role of the executive and the judicial branch of this government. But somehow the communists here in charge have forgotten, or no, not forgotten, are purposely abusing the Constitution and what this body of Congress is supposed to do. You see, when we go to this level, to the point where we're forgetting and abusing what our power is, then the American people will trust us no more. And that is exactly what the January 6th committee is doing.
Amen. Congresswoman, what's the angle? I'm trying to figure, I understand they're trying to use January 6th to go after their political opponents, obviously, and we'll get to the political prisoners here in a couple minutes. But why the commission still? Why the Mark Meadows garbage? What is the angle? What are they trying to accomplish really with all this crap?
Well, I believe what they're trying to accomplish is they're trying to produce something for the media to put all over television so they can hurt the next election. It's also they can dirty up Republicans like me with lies and scandals. They want to convince the American people that January 6th was a planned so-called insurrection, when in fact there was just a small riot at the Capitol, and there was a lot more that happened there. It looks to be that the people there were incited that day by possibly bad actors, maybe federal agents, maybe some in the Capitol Police. That's the evidence that I've seen come out more and more through videos that people have on their private phones. I think there's a lot that should be found out about January 6th that this committee doesn't care about telling that story. They just want to tie us up in long legal battles so that we end up having to spend our campaign funds on attorney's fees, and so that we have to defend ourselves. It's also they can smear our characters and cover up what they really did. You see, Nancy Pelosi was supposed to have the National Guard there because it was requested. The National Guard was requested by President Trump and others. But Nancy Pelosi, who is the Speaker of the House, turned it down. She turned down the request for the National Guard, leaving the Capitol Police unprotected, leaving the Capitol unprotected, and leaving the people unprotected, so that something like this could happen in a very charged environment where you had people like Ray Epps, who seems to be some kind of Fed asset, telling people to go in and storm the Capitol. So you see, it's the Democrats are the ones I believe are guilty on January 6th. I believe they wanted something to happen so that they could completely smear President Trump and all of his supporters, because it's not the Trump supporters that are the ones that did riots for an entire year long and really were the ones attacking federal courthouses and even the White House during the summer when President Trump was still president. But it's the Democrats. It's their whole plan and their whole ploy to create a circus in Congress that is a kangaroo court. So the media has a great big story to tell instead of rising inflation, terrible crime in our cities, wide open borders, the poor Americans that Joe Biden and General Milley and the rest of them abandoned in Afghanistan, the threats from Russia and China, who really is our biggest enemy, not climate change.
Congresswoman, this leads me to the next point of our political prisoners. A lot of people do not realize we have them here. And the media loves to point out Vladimir Putin locking up his political opponents and this country doing it and this country doing it and China doing it. We have political prisoners, as we speak, still rotting in horrendous conditions in a D.C. jail. There have been, by my count, about 5 congressmen who actually show up and give a crap about it. Where are the rest of them?
I don't know where the rest of them are, Jesse. It's very unfortunate. I think many of them are afraid to get involved. Here's how I see it. I don't agree with the riot. It's not me defending what was done at the Capitol that day. I'm not involved in their cases. What I'm appalled at, the reason why I'm getting involved at such a high level is because I don't believe America is a communist country, but we have a communist regime in charge right now, and they are using communist tactics against their political enemies. These people are being abused. Their human rights are violated. They're pre-trial. They haven't even been to court yet, and all of their due process rights are being violated. They're not being considered innocent until proven guilty. As a matter of fact, they're being punished on a nearly daily basis at the hands of Deputy Warden Kathleen Landerkin. who is a rabid Trump hater. She's a white woman, but she hates white men. She thinks that white men should be extinct. She has said horrible things all over her Twitter page, which is now deleted. You know, most companies and most government agencies have social media policies where their employees are not supposed to post things on social media on their own accounts, like Kathleen Landerkin, the deputy warden of the DC jail, has. But she's so bold and so strong and so hateful and so passionate in her radical beliefs that she had this stuff all over her Twitter, and it was so easy for me to find it. And when I did find it, it made total sense of why these January 6th defendants being held in a pretrial state complained about her specifically as being the main problem at the jail. And so I've sent a letter to Mayor Muriel Bowser today, along with many of my colleagues that signed on, and we're demanding that Kathleen Landerkin be fired from her job. I think something else should happen. I think the court, they need to look at this a little differently. They're wanting to hold these people and punish them, even though many of them are charged with misdemeanor charges. They're charged with, as this video shows, walking around in the Capitol. And these people are still being held. They should be released on bail to go home with their families until their court date. And we need to have a court system that is able to uphold justice and you know, go through this process where they can have their defense, the prosecutors can do their job, and then it should happen fairly. They deserve a fair trial. But Kathleen Landerkin is holding them, and I've heard terrible stories. I want you to know, Jesse, since I was there at the jail, I've heard that now they're being treated worse since I was there, since I put the report out, and since I've called for her to be fired.
Hey, thanks so much for watching The First on YouTube. If you liked what you saw, go ahead and like and subscribe. You heard me. Like it, subscribe. You'll get a lot more of it and a lot more of me.